4 years ago, a condo townhouse in the GTA cost an average about $869,000. That was in 2022, the peak. Since then, prices have dropped every single year. I'm talking about 2023, 2024, 2025, 3 straight years of decline. And May 2026 just added a fourth. And here's what makes May different from the last 12 months. In Toronto's East End, condo townhouses sold above asking price. In Durham, supply tightened to 3.5 months of inventory. And that's the lowest anywhere in the GTA for this property type. And across the board, more units sold in May than any other month so far this year. So what's actually happening? Is the condo townhouse market finding a floor, or is it seasonal noise? I'm talking about the spring market. So let's look at May 2026 data and we'll go from there. First, how fast are condo townhouses actually selling right now? Across the entire GTA, the average condo townhouse sold at 99% of asking price in May. That means sellers are accepting on average about 1% below the list price. That means they're listing properly too. On a $729,000 condo townhouse, for example, that's about $7,300 off the asking price. It's not a fire sale. It's not a bidding war. It's right in the middle. The average listing sat on average for 32 days. If you listed your condo townhouse, let's say on May 1st, you'd be waiting until the first week of June before getting an offer accepted. That's about 1 day longer than April. Essentially, unchanged, zero. The market isn't speeding up. It's not slowing down, but it's in a holding pattern. But the GTA average hides a massive range. In Toronto's East End, condo townhouses sold at 103% of asking. That's 3% above list price. Sellers on East are getting multiple offers on well-priced units, and those units are moving in 24 days. That's 8 days faster than the GTA average. Let's talk about Toronto Central. Also moved fast at 24 days, but selling at 99% of asking. So the pace is there. The premium? It's not. Toronto West, 35 days on the market, 99% of asking. The slowest part of the city for condo townhouses right now. Let's talk about outside the city, the suburban markets. They're even slower. Peel region averages 37 days, York region 38. So if you're a seller in Peel or York, you're listing a condo townhouse in, let's say, early May, not seeing a firm offer until mid-June. That's a long time to keep your place show ready with kids running around. But there's that one exception that I mentioned earlier. Durham, 100% of asking price, 26 days on the market. Durham condo townhouses are moving faster than anywhere in the 905 and at full asking. That's worth paying attention to because Durham was one of the weakest condo markets in 2024. The turnaround, it's happening. Speed only tells you how fast things move once a buyer shows up. Activity tells you whether buyers are showing up at all. In May, 451 condo townhouses sold across the GTA. That's up from 419 in April. That's a 7% jump month over month. May is typically stronger than April though. So some of that's seasonal. It's the spring market like I mentioned earlier. But the direction matters because previous years it wasn't like that. So more buyers are transacting. And it's not just in one area pulling the numbers up. Sales increased in Toronto, Durham, and Halton. So this is broad based. We're talking about the whole market as a whole. On the supply side, sellers listed about 1,400 new units in May. That's only 30 more than April. The flood of new supply that hit earlier this year, it's starting to level off a little. Fewer sellers are jumping in, which tells you something. The ones we're going to panic list, they already did. But here's the number that tells you the full picture. 2,200 active listings sitting on the market at the end of May. That's 157 more than April. Even though new listings barely moved, the backlog, it's growing. So units are piling up because they're not selling fast enough. The sale to new listing ratio sits at 32%. In a balanced market, that number would be 40 to 60%. Below 40 is a buyer's market. We're at 32%. So buyers still have significant negotiating power. If you're making an offer right now, you can ask for below list. You can negotiate. You can ask for longer closings and put in those conditions. In most areas, the seller will consider because they know the next offer might not come for weeks. Months of inventory is at 5. At the current sales pace, it'll take 5 full months to sell every active listing. Balanced market is 4 to 6. So the GTA condo townhouse market is sitting right at the edge. Technically balanced, but leaning towards buyers. But here's what it looks like in practice. If 10 new condo townhouses hit the market this week, only 3 of them will sell within 30 days. The other 7, it will sit. That's a reality sellers are dealing with right now. You're not competing with one or two other listings. You're competing with 7. If you own a condo, townhouse, or a condo in the GTA, or you think about buying one, subscribe. I break down Toronto market every single month with real TRREB numbers. I'm just shy of 1,700 subs. If you subscribe, it'll help me keep on making videos just like this. Now let's break this down by geography. The GTA average of 99% selling price and 30 days on the market is a blended number. The actual experience depends on where you are. And we know that real estate is localized. So let's start off with inside the city of Toronto. Toronto East, 32 sales, 103% asking, 24 days on the market, months of inventory, 7.7. That 7.7 might seem a little bit off with all that other data. So how can an area sell above asking with almost 8 months of supply? That sort of doesn't make sense. So let's talk about what that actually means. There are 245 active condo listings in Toronto East End, but only 32 of those sold. Buyers are ignoring most of the inventory and bidding hard on units that are priced right, in the right location with the right layout. The good ones sell fast and above asking. The rest, they sit. Let's talk about Toronto Central, 61 sales, 99% of asking, 24 days on the market. Months of inventory, much lower than East. It's at 4.4. So Central has the tightest supply in the city and the most transaction. It's the closest to a balanced market for condo townhouses in Toronto. So let's say you're selling a condo townhouse in the core. You have better odds than almost anywhere else. But that 99% tells you buyers are still not paying full price. Price it right and it moves. Overprice it by even, let's say 3%, it's going to sit. Toronto West, 36 sales, 99% of asking, 35 days on the market. 7.6 months of inventory. The West is the softest part of the city right now. More supply than buyers can absorb and the slowest pace. If your condo townhouse is in the West End and you need to sell, your number one priority is pricing. The days of listing high and waiting for someone to come along are over in this pocket. Outside the city, the picture sort of shifts. Durham region is in the standout. 58 sales, 100% of asking, 26 days on the market, and 3.5 months of inventory. The tightest in the entire GTA for condo townhouses. If you're a buyer in Durham, you don't have as much time to wait. Let's talk about Halton, 88 days. The second highest volume after Peel, 98% of asking, 33 days on the market, and just 2.9 months of inventory. So that makes Halton the tightest condo townhouse market in the entire GTA, even tighter than Durham. So if you're shopping for a condo townhouse in Oakville, Burlington, expect competition. At 2.9 months, that's a seller's market. The only pocket in the entire GTA where condo townhouses, sellers have the upper hand right now. Peel region, the highest volume at 111 sales, but 97% of asking and 37 days on the market. Sellers in Peel are giving about 3% back and waiting over a month, 5.7 months of inventory. Mississauga makes up most of that volume at 84 sales. On a $672 condo townhouse in Peel, that 3% means you're selling about $652,000. That's about $20,000 gap between what you listed and what you actually got in real money, which is not horrible. York region, 62 sales, 97% of asking, 38 days on the market, 5.1 months of inventory. So if you're buying in Markham or Vaughan, you have time on your side. You can tour 11 properties, take a week to think about it, and the ones you like will still be there. That's a buyer's luxury that did not exist 3 years ago. Here's another part that everyone wants to see. Prices. In 2016, the average condo townhouse in the GTA sold for $476,000. Let that number sink in. $476,000 for a condo townhouse. Over the next 6 years, that price nearly doubled. By 2022, the average $869,000. Then the correction started. 2023, the number was $828,000. That's down about 4%. 2024, $803,000, down another 3%. 2025, $758,000, down another 5%. That's 3 straight years of annual decline. So you bought a condo townhouse in 2022 for $869,000 and you're watching these numbers, you already know that's what's coming. The GTA average condo townhouse price in May 2026 was $729,000. That's $140,000 below the 2022 peak, a 16% decline from the top. So let's say you put 20% down on a $869,000 purchase in 2022. Your down payment was $174,000. Now you lost $140,000 in value. That doesn't mean you lost your equity because you've been paying down your mortgage, but that cushion is a lot thinner than you thought it would be. Now, here's one piece of good news with this data. The May 2026 average of $729,000 is actually up from April's $704,000. Could be a little bit seasonal, but it's still a $24,000 increase in 1 month. It's about 3% increase. 1 month does not make a trend though, but this is a first time in over a year that the monthly average start ticking up. Is it seasonal? most likely, is a floor forming. It's too early to say, but it's the first sign the free fall may be slowing. And that's what we usually look for. So now let's look at the regional prices inside the city of Toronto. The average was 839,000. Toronto Central led at 954,000. Toronto West, 740,000. And Toronto East, 734,000. Outside the city, Halton at 740,000. York Region, 720,000. Peel, 672,000. And Durham, 594,000. The most affordable condo townhouse market in the GTA. Nearly almost $80,000 less than Peel, which is the next cheapest. So if you're looking for a condo townhouse under 600,000, Durham is where the numbers work. But at 3.5 months of inventory, it's also where the competition is the strongest. Compare that to Peel at 672,000 or York at 720,000. You're paying $75,000 to $125,000 more for a slower market with more supply pressure. So the math doesn't always favor the most expensive areas. And if your budget is above 900,000, Toronto Central is where you're looking at. The average of 954,000. But at 4.4 months of inventory, it's also the tightest market in the city. More competition for the best units. You need to move faster and your offer needs to be clean. 16% below peak. Supply building. Sellers accepting below asking across most of the GTA. But the pockets of strengths are emerging. Toronto East selling above asking. Durham and Halton tightening. Month-over-month sales, 7.6%. The average price ticked up from April for the first time in over a year. If you're a buyer, you still have leverage in most areas, but the window of maximizing negotiating power is starting to narrow in Durham, Halton, and Toronto Central. Those three markets are under 5 months of inventory and tightening. If you're waiting for a better deal in those pockets, you might be waiting while competition increases around you. If you're a seller, pricing right is everything. Overpriced by 3 to 5% and your listing sits for months. Price is where the data says, and you still attract offers. The difference between a 24-day sale and a 9-day listing is almost always the asking price, not the market.